Remembering my very first audition, a modest 25 years ago, for The King and I was 8 years old and standing in line with 750 million other children and their hopeful parents and listening to the strains of Getting to Know You, Getting to Know All About You, over and over and over again. And I think I got to about Getting to Know before I was cut. But anyway, I persevered, and 10 years later I went to my very first job interview here at His Majesty's Theatre for a position in the front of house. And I remember the front of house manager came up to me, sat down for the interview, and said, "Okay, Carla, why would you like to work in the front of house at His Majesty's?" And I literally said to him, "I'm not joking. I've always dreamed of working in this theatre." So please believe me when I tell you that it is quite literally a dream come true to be here tonight, getting to know all of you. I grew up in Perth and I moved to Melbourne at 21 to study and train and work and to live the theatre. And after graduating from drama school and a requisite period of unemployment and a couple of gigs here and there, I got my first really big break. Well, actually I kind of got two breaks at the same time, both of them as an understudy. One was in Shakespeare and one was in musical theatre. And because Shakespeare and musical theatre were my two great loves, rather than doing what any sane person would do and picking one, I decided that I could do both at the same time. So over the course of the next year, I performed 10 roles in 4 productions, 21 musical numbers in 4-part harmony for 45 weeks on tour. And at the end of this time I was exhausted, but I was offered another gig straight away, yes, as an understudy. So I took it. It was a gig, and it was great. And that finished, and another gig came along, playing 13 different characters, so I took that, and then another gig came along, playing 7 different roles, so I took that, and then I just kind of snapped. I felt like I didn't know who I was. I had so many thoughts and images and words and pictures and characters and ideas swirling through my psyche. I had no sense of self, no sense of where the boundaries of where I stopped and the characters began. And I overheard a director say, "I really like Carla, I'd like to cast her, I just don't know where to put her." So I emerged from this very busy time with one resounding question. What is it that makes someone a leading lady? Like, how do you graduate from understudy school, you know? Because throughout that time I discovered that I knew how to play great, you know, like if Cinderella fell down and broke her ankle, then, you know, the glasses that would fit, like I could get it on there, you know. But no one would look at me off the bat and say, "That's her, she's our queen." So I decided to study the great women throughout the course of history, the powerful and successful women. And because Shakespeare is my favourite thing, I started with his women. And I also became quite interested in pop culture during this time because they're the contemporary equivalents, you know, of our role models. And so here's what I found. These women weren't great at all. They lied, they cheated, they were jealous and vindictive and self-harming and codependent, and yet somehow I still thought they were great. And even more amazingly, so did everyone else. So then I thought, okay, well, I won't do that, I won't study their greatness, I'll do the opposite. I'll search for their weaknesses, I'll find out their flaws, I'll catch them at their game. And this turned out to be fascinating, because in every single case, the one thing that I could find, that I could identify, I guess, as the source of the characters' their worst self, their fatal flaw, their deepest, darkest secret, turned out to be the very same thing as the source of their success. So somehow these women had become great through owning their darkness and transmuting it into a form of light that could be shared across the world stage. And then I thought, wow, they're even greater than I could have imagined, because they've shown us all that it's possible. Not as a statue or a story or some kind of antiquated queen, but for all of us, there's a way of just being human and great, which is quaint. So we're going to kick off tonight with the three women from Richard III. There are three queens. There's a crone, a mother, and a maiden. And the question I asked myself with this piece was, how does Hitler happen? You know, like, what does it take to enable a monster to sit on the throne of power? And what I discovered with these women was that they all had something to gain from Richard being there. So I guess the answer is ambition, desire, the golden round. Welcome to your life. A little joy, and joy is the queen thereof, for I am she, and altogether joyless. I can no longer hold me patient. There's no turning back. The sorrow that I have by right is yours, and all the pleasures you usurp are mine. Even while we sleep, thyself a queen, for me that was a queen, outlive thy glory like my wretched self. Long die thy happy days before thy death, and after many lengthened hours of grief die neither mother, wife, nor England's queen. We will find you acting on your best behavior. Turn your back on Mother Nature. Everybody wants to. Didst thou not kill this king? Cursed be the hand that made these fatal holes. Cursed be the heart that had the heart to do it. More direful have the tide that hated wretch than I could wish to add a spider's toads already creeping venom thing that lives. It's my own design. It's my own remorse. Help me to decide. Help me make the most of freedom and of pleasure. If ever he have child, abortive be it, and that be heir to his unhappiness. If ever he have wife, let her be made more miserable by the death of him, as I am made by my poor lord and thee. Nothing else forever. Arise, dissembler. Though I wish thy death, I will not be thy executioner. I would I knew thy heart. To take is not to give. Everybody wants to rule. I have no more sons of the royal blood for thee to murder. I have a daughter called Elizabeth, and must she die for this? Or let her live, and I'll corrupt her manners, stain her beauty, so she may live unscarred of bleeding slaughter. I will confess she was not Edward's daughter. There's a room where the light won't find you. Holding hands while the walls come tumbling down. When they do, I'll be right behind you. So glad we've almost made it. So sad we had to fade it. How canst thou woo her? What were I best to say? Her father's brother would be her lord? Or shall I say her uncle? Or he that slew her brothers and her uncles? There is no other way unless thou couldst put on some other shape and not be richer than have done all this. But thou didst kill my children. Shall I be tempted of the devil thus? Shall I go win my daughter to thy will? Garbage bin the other day. I was very offended. I like it. It's a cape. I have a cape. I feel like a Shakespearean superhero. I wonder what my superpower would be. God, I couldn't even tell you. I don't even know. Clearly, I have a need to do this show. Find out. As a kid, I loved playing dress-ups. And on the weekend, I had this practice of getting changed 6 or 7 times throughout the course of any one day, just depending on how I felt. I remember putting on clothes in the morning and running around and dancing and singing and playing and doing all the things that kids do, and a couple of hours later I felt different. I wasn't the same, I changed, I was a new person, therefore my clothes needed to change too. So I would just kind of drop and run, and at the end of the day there would just be these piles of my scattered selves littered around the house, these fragments of my former identities. I guess my obsession with transformation began early. My poor parents sure did a lot of washing. I've recently embraced this idea of a more gypsy life, a transient existence, moving often from place to place, responding freely to the changing circumstances of my life. And what I love about this choice is the sense of infinite possibilities that it brings. Shakespeare said of Cleopatra, for her own person it beggared all description. Age cannot wither her, nor custom stale her infinite variety. Variety, it's the spice of life. Pretty obsessed with Cleopatra too. For years I've threatened to name my firstborn after her, much to the chagrin of pretty much everyone I know. Don't worry, it hasn't happened yet. So for my first year in Melbourne, I just lived out of a suitcase. And at the end of that time, I knew that I wanted to stay. I wanted to put down roots. I felt like I'd found my place. So I made a formal commitment. I signed a contract. I bought some white goods. In fact, I bought a washing machine and named her Cleopatra. Where is he? You there! See where he is, who's with him, what he does. I did not send you. If you find him sad, say I am dancing. If in mirth, report that I am sudden sick. Quick and return. Pray you stand further from me. I know by that same eye there's some good news. What says the married woman? You may go. Would she have never given you leave to come? Let her not say 'tis I that keep you here. I have no power upon you, hers you are. When never was their queen so mightily betrayed. And at the first I saw the treasons planted. Why should I think you can be mine and true? Though you in swearing shake the throned gods who have been false to Fulvia. Righteous madness to be entangled with those mouth-made vows which break themselves in swearing. Nay! Pray you, seek no colour for your going, but bid farewell and go. When you sued, stay. Then was the time for words, no going vain. Eternity was in our lips and eyes, bliss in our brows bent. None, our part so poor, but was a race of heaven. They are so still. Or thou, the greatest soldier of the world, art turned the greatest liar. Oh, I would I had thy inches. Thou shouldst know there were a heart in Egypt. We only said goodbye with words like I 100 times. You go back to her, I go back to, I go back to us. I love you much. It's not enough. You love below, and I love half. And life is like a pipe, and I'm a tiny penny rolling up the walls inside. We only said goodbye with words. I died 100 times. You go back to her, and I go back to, I go back to. Courteous Lord, one word. Sir, you and I must part. But that's not it. Sir, you and I have loved. But there's not it, that you know well. Something it is I would, oh, my oblivion is a very Antony, and I am all forgotten. So as an actor, I've had a lot of day jobs. I have swept floors, cleaned toilets, sold tickets, which always raises the issue of ye olde backup career. Look, it works for a lot of artists. It's never worked for me, and here's the reason why. For many years, my mother was a nurse, and still to this day, she has this incredible ability to just make me feel better. My father and other mother were both teachers, and I feel like the gift of a teacher is this ability to reveal the truth by shining a light, the light of knowledge, if you will, into the darkness of ignorance, and underneath there's a layer of truth. So growing up, this quest for truth was very strong with me. And I also had that whole thing of wanting to do something important, something that mattered, you know, changing the world, that old chestnut. So my backup career was going to be journalism. And I got nearly to the end of a journalism degree. I had 2 weeks to go, and I was given an assignment to write a feature article, and a friend tipped me off for a story that was incredibly newsworthy, but also very distressing. So I went off to this interview. I was 19 years old, and I was interviewing a 17-year-old female who had witnessed her cousin commit suicide by train surfing. And she was distraught. And I was a mess, and objectivity went out the window, and as she led me back to the front door, I caught sight of her eyes, and I knew in that moment that nothing that I could say or do would in any way make her feel better. So So I went home and I tried to write this story. And I realised I was doing exactly that. I was telling a story. I was constructing a story about this incident that felt to me completely, profoundly dishonest. I wasn't shining the light of knowledge and revealing the darkness of... I wasn't making anyone feel better, and I thought to myself, if I'm going to tell stories for a living, I want them to illuminate and provoke and question and threaten and disrupt and entertain, but I don't want to pass them off as the objective truth. So I quit journalism, never to return. I didn't file the story, and then I had to be honest with myself about what it was that I really wanted to do. So here's the thing, I've always wanted to be a singer. But I had this problem, you know, because I needed to do something important, something that mattered. So how was music important? On the 20th of March 1993, the IRA exploded 2 bombs inside rubbish bins in Warrington, Cheshire, resulting in the death of 3-year-old Jonathan Ball and 12-year-old Tim Parry. A year and a bit later, an Irish pop group by the name of the Cranberries released a song called Zombie that spoke out against the Irish fight for independence that seems to last forever. It was a song that called for peace, peace among England and Ireland. And on the 31st of August 1994, just a few weeks after the song was released, the IRA called a ceasefire after 25 years of conflict. So here's the thing. The death of 2 innocent children didn't cause a ceasefire, but the song did. And that's the truth. Shakespeare's always given his truths to the disenfranchised, to the fools, to the madmen, to the wives, to the widows. One such widow is Constance from King John. Her son, the 12-year-old Arthur, is next in line to the throne, and she rightly suspects the king and the cardinal of foul play. He's just gone missing. But Constance can't prove her truth. All that she can do is speak it.
Look who comes here. A grave unto a soul, holding the eternal spirit against her will in the vile prison of afflicted breath. I prithee, lady, go away with me.
No, I defy all counsel or redress, but that which ends all counsel, true redress. Another head hangs lowly, child is slowly taken. And if violence causes silence, who are we mistaken? Death, death, oh amiable, lovely death, thou odoriferous stench, sound rottenness, arise forth from the couch of lasting night, thou hate and terror to prosperity, and I will kiss thy detestable bones, and put my eyeballs in thy vaulty brows, and wring these fingers with thy household worms, and stop this gathered breath with fulsome dust, and be a carrion monster like thyself.
Zombie, zombie.
Come, grin on me, and I will think thou smilest, and kiss thee as thy wife. Misery's love, oh come to me!
Oh, fair affliction, peace!
No, 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 I will not, having breath to cry. Oh, that my tongue were in the thunder's mouth! Then with a passion would I shake the world, and rouse from sleep that fell anatomy which cannot hear a lady's feeble voice, which scorns a modern invocation.
You are to madness and not sorrow.
Thou art not holy to belie me so. I am not mad. This hair I tear is mine. But you see, it's not me, it's not my family. In your head, they are hiding. My name is Constance. I was Geoffrey's wife. Young Arthur is my son, and he is lost. I am not mad, I would to heaven I were. For then 'tis like I should forget myself. Oh, if I could, what grief should I forget? Preach some philosophy to make me mad, and I shall be canonized and cardinal.
In your head, zombie, zombie, zombie,
Being not mad, but sensible of grief, my reasonable heart produces reason how I may be pushes me to kill or hang myself. If I were mad, I should forget my sons, or madly think a babe of clouds with you. I am not mad. Too well, I feel the different plague of each calamity.
You hold to heinous respect of grief.
He talks to me that never had a son.
You are as fond of grief as of your child.
Grief fills the room up of my absent child. Lies in his bed, walks up and down with me. It's on his pretty lips, repeats his words, remembers me of all his gracious parts, stuffs out his vacant garments with his form. Then have I reason to be fond of grief? Fare you well. If you such a loss as I could you give better comfort than you do. I will not keep this form upon my head when there is such disorder in my weight. Oh Lord, my boy, my Arthur, my fair son, my life, my joy, my food, my all the world, my widow's comfort, and my sorrow's cure. Another mother's breaking heart is taking over, when the virus draws us silence, we must be mistaken. So grief is thirsty work. Look, it's all very well being flexible and adaptable and able to change on a whim, but where this quality really gets me into trouble is in relationship. I've recently ended a 2-year relationship and I pretty much replaced him with donuts, so I don't know if I can stand here talk to you with any kind of authority on the subject of relationships. I don't know, they're hard, they're tricky, they're complicated. One of the reasons I became obsessed with pop stars was that Rihanna released this album, and the album cover is her bare naked breast, and across her breastbone, I like saying breast, is a tattoo of the Egyptian goddess Isis, and the word unapologetic written in between her two shoulder blades. This presumably in response to the news that she'd been violently assaulted by her boyfriend at the time. And I thought to myself, what is she not apologising for? Being a victim of domestic abuse? I don't know, I don't really want to stand her in these shoes and criticise her or judge her life, it's tacky. I called this show Whores and Weeping Women because I feel like we live in this world of opposites. We have these ideas of black and white, of right and wrong, and when you're talking about female archetypes, whores and weeping women are the two poles. They're the edges, they're the extremes of what's allowed. And in between these two poles, we all live. And it's kind of like a spectrum, or even more like a sea, and I feel like I'm kind of flapping around in the ocean somewhere, desperately trying to find my place. I hope, I dearly hope, that it is somewhere in the middle. Shakespeare loves to show us the two extremes and then dares us to find the middle path. Taming of the Shrew is a play that's not performed all that often. I think it scares people with the kind of implications of domestic violence. I don't think that the relationship between the two central characters, Kate and Petruchio, is a violent relationship. I think it's about the contract of marriage and the politics of getting what you want. So I guess there's a hope that you can find some kind of middle ground, or I guess compromise. Just gonna stand there and watch me burn. Well, that's alright, because I like the way it hurts. Just gonna stand there and hear me cry. Well, that's alright, because I love the way you lie. I love the way you lie. kind brow, and dark not scornful glances from those eyes do wound thy lord, thy king, thy governor. It blots thy beauty as frosts do bite the meads, confounds thy fame as whirlwinds shake fair bards, and in no sense is meet or amiable. She fucking hates me, and I love it. Wait! A woman moved is like a fountain troubled, muddy, ill-seeming, thick, bereft of beauty. And while it is so, none so dry or thirsty will deign to sip or touch one drop of it. Oh snap, who's that dude? I don't even know his name. I laid hands on her, I'll never stoop so long again. I guess I don't know my own strength. Just gonna stand there and watch me burn. Well, that's alright because I like the way it hurts. Just gonna stand there and hear me cry. Well, that's alright because I love the way you lie. I love the way you lie. Thy husband is thy lord, thy life, thy keeper, thy head, thy sovereign, one that cares for thee. Now you're getting fucking sick of looking at him. You swore you'd never hit him, never do nothing to hurt him. Now you're in each other's face, spewing venom in your words when you spit him. You push, pull each other's hair, scratch, claw, pin him, throw him down, pin him, so lost in the moments when you're in him. Such duty as the subject owes the prince, even such a woman oweth to her husband. And when she is froward, peevish, sullen, sour, and not obedient to his honest will, what is she but a foul contending rebel and graceless traitor to her loving lord? But you promised her next time you'd show restraint, you don't get another chance. I know I'm a liar. If she ever tries to fucking leave again, I'm tied to the bed and set this house on fire. Just gonna stand there and watch me burn. Well, that's alright because I like the way it hurts. Just gonna stand there and hear me cry. Well, that's alright because I love the way you lie. I love the way you lie. I am ashamed that women are so simple to offer war where they should kneel for peace, or seek for rule, supremacy, and sway when they are bound to serve love and obey. Why are our bodies soft and weak and smooth, unapt to toil and trouble in the world, but that our soft conditions and our hearts should well agree with our external parts? Come, come, you froward and unable worms. My mind hath been as big as one of yours, my heart is great, my reason haply more to bandy word for word and frown for frown. But now I see our lances are but straws, our strength is weak, our weakness past compare, that seeming to be most, which we indeed least are. Just gonna stand there and watch me burn. Well, that's alright because I like the way it hurts. Just gonna stand there and hear me cry. Well, that's alright because I love the way you lie. I love the way you lie. Then veil your stomachs, for it is no use, and place your hands below your husband's foot, in token of which duty, if you please, my hand is ready. May it do him ease. So people are always asking, why Shakespeare, you know? Why is he relevant? Why 500 years later? Why? And most of the really good arguments as to why he's relevant centre around this idea of his work being really universal. And I think that's true, but for me, it's much more personal than that. I did my first year of school in Chicago, and one day during recess I fell over and skinned my knees, and I was just crying fit to bust. You know those existential child tantrums where you just lose your shit. And no one could get me off the floor. This was a terrible place. The world was a horrible, horrible place to live in, and everything was strange. I felt so completely alone. And anyway, so I was just sitting on the ground crying, and some lovely Year 3 girls went off to get the teacher on duty, and she came over, she sort of sidled over to me. She was this huge mama of a woman, and she sort of took stock, and then she did this one thing. She took my hand and she put it over my heart, and with her other hand she helped me to stand. And then she looked me dead in the eye and she said, sorry for this impression, "You feel that? That's your heart. inside your chest, and it's been for you. And I felt like I'd just been born. I remember having this completely visceral sense of this thing that lived inside my body, this pulse, this rhythm. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. I wandered around the playground in the days. I wouldn't take my hands over my chest. I felt like I'd just discovered I had a friend for life. 5 years later, I went to my first Shakespeare. It was Antony and Cleopatra. I begged my dad to go because Cleopatra was there and she was cool and she had the hair. And he warned me. He said, you know, it could be a bit intense. The language might be a bit hard. And I said, no, it's going to be fine. And so we're sitting there and the lights are down and it's all happening. And apparently I was kind of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed throughout the show, but at one point Dad thought it might be good to just check that I was still functioning. And he leaned over and he said, you know, how is it? And I said, it's wonderful. What are they saying? No earthly comprehension of what was going on. No idea of the plot, the story, the characters, anything. But my theory is that what I connected to in that moment was this pulse, this rhythm. Shakespeare writes in iambic pentameter. It's the rhythm of our heart. It follows this pattern. Weak strong, weak strong, weak strong. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. It's a weeping woman and a whore. It's all the opposites ever. I think Shakespeare in that moment became my friend for life. I think he had an incredible love for humanity. And we're going to meet another one of his lovers right now, the rather unfortunate Portia. Portia is from the play Julius Caesar. She's married to Brutus. He's a statesman. So, you know, she's a society bride, I guess. So think kind of Kate and William, or maybe more Charles and Diana in this particular instance. It's not going so well. He's up at nights, he's not sleeping, he's not eating, and he's about to murder Julius Caesar. But most importantly, he's just not telling her anything. And there are pretty much no limits to what Portia will do to get her husband to confess his secret. And at the end of the play, we hear that she commits suicide by swallowing hot coals. Within the bond of marriage, tell me, Brutus, is it accepted I should know no secrets that appertain to you? Am I yourself but as it were in sort or limitation, to keep with you at meals, comfort your bed and talk to you sometimes? Dwell I but in the suburbs of your good pleasure. If it be no more, Portia is Brutus' harlot, not his wife. I grant I am a woman, but a woman that Lord Brutus took to wife. I grant I am a woman, but withal a woman well reputed, Cato's daughter. Think you I am no stronger than my sex, being so fathered and so husbanded? Tell me your counsels. Tell me your counsels. Tell me your counsels. I will not disclose them. I have made strong proof of my constancy, giving myself a voluntary wound here in the thigh. Can I bear that with patience and not my husband's secrets? bright she can burn your eyes. Better look the other way. You can try, but you'll never forget her name. She's on top of the world, hardest of the hardest girls. Say, oh, we got our feet on the ground and we're burning it down. Oh, got our head in the clouds and we're not coming down. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Everybody stands as she goes by, 'cause they can see the flame that's in her eye. Watch her when she's lighting up the night. Nobody knows that she's a lonely girl, and it's a lonely world. But she gon' let it burn, baby, burn, baby. So, continuing on this theme of why Shakespeare, why theatre, the great Polish theatre director Jerzy Grotowski has this to say. He said, "It is not theatre that is indispensable, but to cross the frontiers between me and you, to come forward to meet you, so that we do not get lost in the crowd, or among words or in declarations, or among the beautifully precise thoughts." My own answer to the question why theatre could be summed up in a word, and that word is communion. Now, before you ask me whether I'm religious, I just want to assure you I'm not going anywhere near Parliament House dressed like this. I wouldn't want to cause any kind of threat to national security. I don't think Shakespeare was religious. His nuns and his priests were always bursting out of the confines of their convent walls or behaving questionably. I think Shakespeare, like Grotowski, was mostly interested in crossing the boundaries between me and you. And for me, that is a kind of communion. Measure for Measure is Shakespeare's darkest comedy. Here's how it goes. A novice in a nunnery by the name of Isabella is faced with this terrible choice. Her brother Claudio is on trial for execution for having sex before marriage. And she can let him die, or she can save her brother's life by giving up her chastity and becoming a whore. To whom should I complain? Did I tell this, who would believe me? Oh, perilous mouths that bear in them one and the self-same tongue, either of condemnation or a proof, bidding the law make curtsy to their will, hooking both right and wrong to the appetite to follow as it draws. Oh, to my brother, though he have fallen by prompture of the blood, yet hath he in him such a mind of honour that had he 20 heads to tender down on 20 bloody blocks, he'd yield them up. Before his sister should her body stoop to such a poor pollution. And Isabel live chaste, and brother die. More than our brother is our chastity. I'll tell him yet of Angela's request, and fit his mind to death for his soul's rest. Would thou be made a man out of my vice? Is not a kind of incest to take life from thine own sister's shame? What should I think? Die, perish! sworn betimes his purpose surfeiting, he sends a warrant for my poor brother's head. Don't you ever say I just walked away. 'Tis best thou diest quickly. So here we are, very close to the end of the show, and I don't feel like I've given you or me any clear sense of solving this identity crisis of sorts. I had 55 minutes and everything failed. I may not have a clear or coherent sense of self, but I have always had a really strong sense of the purpose of my life. And again, we're back in childhood. We always lived near a park, and my favourite thing to do as a kid was to run out into the centre of the park, and I had to be right in the middle, and below me was this blanket of grass, and above me was this canopy of the sky. And I would stretch my arms way, way out to the sides and swing around in a circle for hours, singing my songs up to the sky. I felt like a conduit or some kind of channel. I just wanted to be a part of the bigness, you know? Someone once asked a great Shakespearean actor, how do you cope with all of those times in Shakespeare where you're calling to the elements? You know, the Shakespearean characters are always saying, oh earth, oh fire, oh God, goddess, etc. And he said, you plant your feet and you reach up or down and you pull the heavens and the earth towards you. So let's take stock. Inside me I have this beating heart, this connection to the pulse, to the rhythm of all life. And it occurs to me that at any time I can plant my feet, reach up and down, and pull the heavens and the earth towards me. And if the heavens and the earth live in complete harmony inside my very own skin, then so do horse and weeping women. Maybe the point is not to find some coherent self and stick to it. Maybe it's about being free enough to dance between those spaces. I'm always being asked who my favourite character is, and at the moment it's Ophelia. I think because the purposes of our lives are similar. I think she crafts a kind of freedom for herself, a sense of surrender, and an ultimate play is what she's after. And I think that she chooses madness as an escape from a corrupt world. Ophelia's from Hamlet, by the way. This is a world where speech is sanctioned by others. Lover, brother, father, king. It's hard to know what's left to say when your lover kills your father and your brother's overseas and the king is the man behind you. In this case, it's best just to say nothing. He hath, my lord, of late made many tenders of his affection to me. I do not know, my lord, what I should think. I shall obey, my lord. Alas, my lord, I've been so affrighted. My lord, I do not know, but truly I do fear it. No, my good lord. Good my lord. How does your honour for this many a day? My lord? What means your lordship? Could beauty, my lord, have better commerce than with honesty? Indeed, my lord. You make me believe so. At home, my lord. No, my lord. I, my lord. What is my lord? You are merry, my lord. 'Tis brief, my lord. What means this, my lord? You are as good as a chorus, my lord. You are keen, my lord. You are keen. The king rises. I think nothing. That's for thoughts. There's fennel for you. And cold ones. There's roof here. There's some for me. We may call it herb of grace on Sundays. You must wear your room with a difference. There's a daisy. I would give you some violets, but they withered all. My father died. They say he made a good end. There is a willow, grows aslant a brook, that shows his hoar leaves in a glassy stream. There with fantastic garlands did I come, of crowflowers, nettles, daisies and long purples, that liberal shepherds give a grosser name, but our cold maids do dead men's fingers call. There on the pendant boughs my coronet weeds clambering to hang, an envious sliver broke, when down the weedy trophies and myself fell in the weeping brook. My clothes spread wide and mermaid-like, a while they bore me up. Which time I chanted snatches of old tunes, as one incapable of my own distress, or like a creature, native and endued unto that element. But long it could not be, till that the guns, heavy with their drink, pulled this poor wretch from sweet, melodious lay to muddy death.